back to cost rationalization now. 48.5% of your workforce is at the mid-management level compared to about 36% in FY 2014. Do you believe that you may need to make changes there as you look at more cost levers? Also, in terms of hiring, I know that the focus and the emphasis has been on reskilling, but what is the outlook as far as hiring is concerned? You are onboarding the campus hires that you're already committed to.
Yeah. So there, that statistic is quite telling, as you rightly pointed out. The thinking for us is we are on a growth trajectory. So if you look at last year, we had 9.8% growth. The year before, 9% growth. We feel comfortable that once we are outside of the crisis, we will be back to a good level of growth. In that environment, once you start to grow and in a sense, start to have much more recruitment at different levels, but especially at the college graduate level, we think those statistics will start to become more normalized over time. And that's our approach to drive it. There is no other approach to driving that statistic. In terms of recruitment, in the first quarter, we recruited over 5,000 people worldwide. We continue to recruit. All the recruitment offers we've made, we are continuing with those. And we see now, with the guidance we've given for growth, we see that in small ways, recruitment will continue all through this financial year.
Okay, in small ways, that's the operative part. In small ways, recruitment will continue. But what about recruitment in the US, particularly, Salil, in the context of what we've seen happen with the H-1B issue, which continues to go back and forth and not in favor of countries like India? You've recruited more than, 13,000 US nationals. You've got a significant presence in the US. Do you expect that to beef up significantly as well, given the regulatory environment?
So there again, Shireen, we made a choice a few years ago to build out what we call localization. And that was a strategic decision where we recruit massively in India, but we also start to recruit in careful ways in the US and many other countries outside India. So we recruit college graduates. In the last financial year, we recruited 1,200 college graduates in the US. We recruit, as you referenced, lateral or people at different levels across our structure in the US. We have 6 digital centers in different locations within the US. We are now putting together a training facility on a 50-acre campus in one of the large states in the US. And with this Vanguard partnership, we'll create yet another new center, which is in the mid-Atlantic region. So our approach to this localization has helped us to some extent. We obviously didn't anticipate either this crisis or the regulation changes, but given those things have happened and given the constraints in travel and of course with regulations going forward, we are fortunate that we can recruit in those markets, and we have recruited in those markets. So we already have the infrastructure to scale up. And as we go through this year, we'll see actually that infrastructure help us massively, because we'll be able to recruit in every geography that we want to without any constraints.
Salil, you spoke about setting up this center as part of the deal with Vanguard. Do you believe that this is going to have to now be the new way of doing things, especially when it comes to these large transformational deals? And if you can give us a little more color on what this center will mean in terms of the number of people who will work out of the US as part of this transaction.
So there, the idea for us is to build a center of excellence in a specific area, which we are focused on, their record-keeping services. We think on many large partnerships, especially in the last year, we've seen clients leverage our center. So we announced another large transaction a few weeks ago with a bank, and then the bank has leveraged an existing digital center that we have in Indiana. So it's a combination of existing plus the new centers that may come up in the future. In terms of the Vanguard partnership, really everything that we were saying in that sense publicly is in the press note. It's an extremely exciting digital transformation partnership where Vanguard have chosen Infosys to really help them transform the experience for their clients, participants, and then build out this very efficient record-keeping service. But it's that all of the detail is in there for sure.
Just a quick word as far as the outlook for BFSI is concerned. Salil, you spoke about banks. And with the uncertain economic climate, the question is on what that will eventually result in as far as banks' profitability is concerned. But is that having any impact on the way that the BFSI space is choosing to spend both quantum as well as frequency?
So today we don't see that, but that's something we have to watch carefully. So Q1, I think we had a good performance in BFSI. What we saw in the outlook, and we shared that a few days ago, looks quite stable right now for BFSI. However, as you point out, given the global situation and how some of the large global banks are taking charges against their P&L, we have to be cautious and watch out for it. At this stage, because of all of the stimulus, it looks okay, but we have to be watchful for it.
So watchful on BFSI, could see some vulnerabilities emerge, though you haven't seen that play out in the last quarter. But Salil, in terms of the demand outlook, yes, and the stimulus is aiding the recovery at this point in time. But when do you really expect to see a full-blown recovery? Do you believe that that's going to be pushed out all the way to next year? What's the sense that you get now in terms of the demand environment and utilization as well? Because that's been lower in the quarter gone by.
Yeah, so the sort of two parts on the demand side, really, that's more contingent on how the medical situation finally develops, and there's tremendous optimism, as you probably see, through therapeutics, through medical procedures, and through the vaccine research. So as and when that sort of stabilizes, that's really the key milestone that I think everyone's going to look at. Of course, the stimulus is a tremendous help. Both you saw the European one come through the next phase of it a couple of days ago. The US one have come through quite a bit, and they're discussing another phase from our client perspective. And of course, things going on well all around in the world from a stimulus perspective. I think on utilization, we have actually very good utilization in most of our businesses outside India. In India, we will take a few more quarters for that utilization to come up. Again, it's a function of how the real demand plays out. And we're being extremely careful to make sure that all of the right deployment happens as we bring in new people.